Hey guys, welcome back to the NFT series. And today we have with us Ruggero, Yasmine, and Nighthawke for the first time ever on screen with us in the Crescent Media podcast series. So Ruggero and Yasmine are here from the Vudu Brigada team, the co-founders and the founders, whatever you feel calling them. They are them, they are the people we all have been interacting with for all those months. And Nighthawk, again, I don't think the CNFT space needs any introduction. So how about a one-line introduction from all of you people, and then we can go ahead in the flow of the questions. Ruggero.
Okay, hi, I'm Ruggero Lupo, the artist, the 3D artist of Vudu Brigada. I work with my wife Yasmine, which she's.
Okay, hi, I'm Yasmine. I'm a fashion stylist and art director, and also I'm the community manager, let's say, and I take care of everything related to Vudu. So we are Vudu Brigada, and we're here to talk about our projects.
Great. Nighthawk.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm Nighthawke. I'm a project advisor in the space. I've been working with Vudu Brigada for just about a month now. I joined the team over New Year's, and it's been nothing but dreamy working with them. They're some of the most talented people I've ever encountered, so it's an absolute honor to work with them. They're so lovely.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being here. So the Vudu Brigada Season 2 collection is right around the corner. So without disclosing much details for it, what's the expectations you are aiming for this time? Because again, there was a lot of change currently. The roadmap, the website update, which I just saw, was amazing. The whole design change was really lovely. Loved it. So in terms of the most respected CNFT projects out there, Vudu Brigada is one of them. How does that make you feel, and what's the pressure like when launching season 2?
Okay, so definitely, I mean, speaking of season 2, it's gonna be like the total number of Vudus will be much less than in the first collection. So that's what I'm going to say about that. And I mean, we're honored that you guys think that we're one of the most respectable projects in the Cardano community. That makes us so happy, because like a year ago, we knew nothing about all of this. So being where we are today, I mean, we're just like really, really grateful also for the community, the people who have supported us, the people who have, always share their love for Vudu with us. I mean, we're just completely, we're really honored, and it's great. It's been a roller coaster, definitely. So this has been an adventure, but we're just so happy to be on this new path in our lives, developing Vudu Brigada.
Probably artistically will be more cryptic, more dark, more magic. And
So talking about artistically, I think we all agree, and at least the whole community agrees, that it's still one of the most distinct projects in terms of the art. So what's the thought process behind it, Ruggero? What goes behind your mind, whenever you're designing? I saw the live session you did today. I went over YouTube. That was awesome. So, but then that was just a live session. What goes inside your head? Because that's a major stage.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't think it's only a technical thing. Probably it's more related with what we put together. It's not about, probably when I do Vudus, I just don't put things to be together and to appear like something, but we always put elements, any single accessory somehow belongs to something that comes from our dream or our things, and then somehow, and also we always put some kind of secret esoteric elements hidden kind of everywhere. Then I think probably it's this, I don't know.
Yeah. And also, like when we started, working on the space and doing our research, like we never thought, okay, let's look at what other people are doing so we can do the same. For like, we used to look at that for like strategies and stuff, but never to take inspiration from other people's art, because we wanted to do like what felt right.
But this this is also something I do. Honestly, I do in my normal artistical life. I never get inspired by other artist art, but maybe much more from their own biography than their own art itself. Then when I want to produce it, and then probably this also made the difference because we just when I just create completely free without putting any limits or following any path.
Okay, so I really want to know this. I don't know honestly if it's out there or not. What was the thought behind? So who started that? We should start a Voodoo Doll project. So why a Voodoo Doll?
Again, it started from me. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. It started together. It's maybe we said some about this already, but I mean, actually we were working on a cover album for a musician. And I said, okay, I want to, she was sketching, in that period, she was sketching a lot of dreams out of her dream every night, then every day she was coming, waking up and drawing the dream. Then at some point, instead to research somewhere out of my world, I just went to her own sketch, and then I took two sketch and I create two creatures. Very nice. They were very interesting. And I recognize in them some voodoo dolls. Then later I say to her, look at this image. We should do something on voodoos. Because the voodoos also, the voodoo dolls itself is very interesting as a creator, as a concept, because it's connecting spiritual with physical, it's kind of a connection between the reality and something is not real. Then somehow, it started.
And it started out as an idea, just like this.
Yeah, just like this.
Oh, that's good. All right. Okay.
And then it was interesting later because it was all about creating, playing with colors and what we mean with color. There is all my favorite color, all her favorite color. We just mixed together. And then we played with all these elements, which are accessories, which for us are, all of them somehow very important. And then there is the last final trick of, generating, a lot of different but same things, like it's like creating a population, a real population of entities where, it's like us, I was saying to her, it's interesting how, yes, we speak much more about how, they are unique than how they are, than much more than the diversity. Like, I don't know, I find it, they are very similar to humans.
Because they're kind of like all the same, because obviously they have the similar traits, but then when they're all done differently, they each have like their own identity and their own, personalities, their character is created.
Right.
And so it's kind of like human beings,
Yeah.
We all have, a human body, we all have hair, there's just like kind of different and stuff. And that makes us in our individuality and our whole totality. We're all unique at the same time.
It's playing with archetypes, let's say.
I really love how passionate you both were when you were explaining the whole thought behind it. So one more follow-up question for that. Have you ever been exposed to a voodoo doll? Because back in India, it's a taboo subject. It's honestly a taboo. It's a huge taboo. The black magic scenario. It's something we don't even talk about. So have you been exposed to it? Have you actually seen, played, or heard stories regarding voodoos?
I have seen long time ago when I was in university. I remember in a festival of cinema dei popoli, it was called. Okay, it was there was a very interesting documentary that was on top of voodoos, and I got always kind of shocked. For example, I learned there that the concept of zombies exists. I mean, there is people who actually die and reborn because they actually die for a limited time, and I didn't know. Then somehow you see how most of the fantastic world take some inspiration by reality. Well, and the opposite, then somehow.
I never personally had any. interaction. But I had many friends, for example, Lebanese friends, because I'm from Lebanon, that used to live in like Nigeria, and they would tell me, yeah, you don't mess with the juju, and it's like super taboo there. You have to be careful because it's like super, you know. So I always had like these mystical background stories, but you know, we kind of like the idea of voodoo is that they're kind of creepy, but at the same time a bit magic, and still at the same time they can embody like a human form, because that's what, you know, they kind of represent, you know. So it was interesting in that sense, you know, to play around, because we have lots of let's say margins to play around with voodoo. So that's also why we're like, okay, that's something cool. It's a doll, but it's kind of creepier, and you know, there's that thing about it that makes it just a bit more interesting.
Yeah, so it's almost 12 a.m. out here, and then probably after the call, we'll be sharing some few scary stories. Totally. Get into that voodoo feel. Okay, so I really want to know how this combination of Vudu Brigada and Nighthawk just came into being. Who approached whom first, and what was the whole interaction like?
If you want, I can speak about that, because we were struggling for a while, searching for someone who's witty in like the marketing, and you know, can actually help us a bit, because you know, we are both artists, okay? And so in this NFT world, you know, everything goes so fast, and we need to learn so much, and we have just so much to do. So we're like, okay, now we're in the car. The car is moving, but we're kind of like, you know, struggling to see the road.
Where do we go?
And so we were on an interview with Cardano, Cardano Thor, if I'm not mistaken. And we were telling him like, yeah, we're actually searching for someone to help us out. And then he was like, oh, you should go to Nighthawk, you know.
She's gonna be here. Yeah,
So,
I think we were with that.
Yeah, and she was actually listening to the space that day. And so we connected right after, and then we actually we clicked, and then we realized that we have kind of like the same targets and same visions and same values. So I thought it was like a great match.
Yes, and definitely life changed after we met.
Yes, you changed our lives, Nighthawk.
Yes,
Thank
yes, because now we do things much more, you know.
Yeah, there's more substance in everything we do.
Yes, of course.
So was she the missing piece in your whole life right now?
Also a life coach for me.
Yeah, you know, it was very organic the way that we met, and thank you so much to Cardano for the stream, because that's essentially how we sort of came together. And you know, with Ruggero and Yasmine, we have this sort of kinship in that we both come from, I mean, this was like past life, but high fashion. That's where I started just after uni, and so together it's almost like we have this inside joke of no matter what, all roads lead to fashion. So obviously you're going to see that in Vudu Brigada as, you know, we develop, and no matter what, it's sort of like we have the same, as Yasmine said, values. We're all spiritual kind of people, and we're very open-minded, very beauty oriented. So I think it's just been an amazing experience, and I can't speak highly enough of them. Like, I just feel so honored that my opinion is respected with them. And, you know, at the end of the day, they have full autonomy in the project. I'm an advisor. I give them my recommendation, and they choose whether to execute it or not. But thus far, it's been a true partnership. So yeah, I think it all worked out, and you're going to be seeing huge things from us.
So in terms of being an advisor, what was the first two things you changed, or you basically discussed and came to a conclusion with? What was those first two things you entered with?
So yeah, so the biggest brief I think for us was to identify a roadmap for all 4 quarters of this year. Because Yasmine and Ruggero, they had a roadmap, but they didn't know exactly how strategically it all sort of pieced together. And what I was doing was essentially saying, right, let's form a cohesive roadmap that shows progression. So for example, Vuduverse is a metaverse kind of oriented. It's not metaverse proper, but it's going to be its own space of interaction with our community. And to make that happen, there needs to be a progression. We can't just say, you know, in Q2, Q3, it's going to be ready. There needs to be a progression in that. And obviously, I believe in the practicalities of it. So specific to the roadmap, what I did was say, right, we've promised or we committed to, and we really believe in creating the physical Vudu doll, for example. So let's go ahead and work out those practicalities before we chat about the future. Because the metaverse at this stage, I mean, even when you think about Pavia and Artifact Moon, it's all in the future. It's all a bet on full functionality in the future. And I'm much more about the present and what we can do tactically today to make Vudu Brigada more valuable for the investors. At the end of the day, the project is a business like any other, and it needs to be run like one. And that means executing milestones in the present. So that means working on art development, which Ruggero, easy, he's a genius. And it means working on producing those physical Vudu dolls. It means branding off-chain with other personalities and brands, shall we say. And it all means going about it organically so that we attract a community that fully acknowledges Vudu as an art project, first and foremost. We have never, ever marketed ourselves as a utility first project. So when you go to buy, I don't know why you would, but if you go to buy a Rembrandt, for example, and you hang it on your wall, it's a store of value, but you don't say to the artist, right, why hasn't it appreciated 1,000-fold after 6 months? You don't. You understand it has a store of value and you hang it on your wall. Vudu Brigada is the exact same thing. Every single thing that we execute on that roadmap, which we have full intention to, is intended and planned to add value to the project. So that was really my first brief, was making sure that every single thing on that roadmap, whether directly or indirectly, supported that appreciation of investment to season 1.
Right. So, yeah, so when we are talking about physical voodoo dolls, is there a thought? It's an afterthought or a thought just going behind your mind, which is, will that have an effect in terms of the voodoo token holders? Because yeah, it's completely fine till we hold a digital piece, but obviously because there is obviously a superstition, we can call it a superstition or a thought behind holding or keeping actual voodoo, physical voodoo dolls in a person's house. It's if we talk about me personally or people in back in India, it's a pretty big shazam. If not my family, the neighbors will come and they will be saying stuff, because, and that's facts. It's gonna happen. The whole neighborhood would know it before I say it, announce it.
Oh
Within
my
an
God,
hour.
I know.
It's a pretty big deal. And I know there are certain religions. It's not about India or not. It's religious. At the same time,
Yes.
there are superstitions. There are stories. So it just has too much things going around it. So is that a thought which is going behind your mind, that for whatever reason, will there be a good acceptance of it or not? Because I personally, I would love to have one, but for me to convince, holding that piece in my hand and talking to everybody, it's a pretty
Okay.
weird conversation which I'm looking for.
What do you think?
Okay. First of all, we did the white magic and black magic, you know, like collections only because of the colors, white and black. And also only because black are more stylish usually, you know, look at me, you know,
Agreed.
but you know,
Saying that.
and you know, not in, you know, the dark side is always more stylish, but both of them, they're good magic, you know, then they only can bring beautiful and good things, of course. Then that's why you should have a real one and a digital. But
I mean, the
I don't
real
know.
one, I think it will be like more artisanal. Okay, so it's
Yes.
gonna be nice. It's not gonna be something that's like, you know, manufactured fast, let's say. You know,
Yes.
so it's gonna be like a collector's item, something that you wanna keep in your house and maybe not show your neighbors, and you know, I don't know, but it's gonna be like a collector's item, let's say. That's for sure.
Yes.
It's like something that you keep in your house and you don't really take outside, I guess. Also, because it might be taboo, as you're saying, like, but anyway, they're cute and they're kind of funny. So you're not gonna be like, oh no, you know, I'm cursed now, so I hope it's not gonna be like that. Because you know, we actually give lots of positive energy to our voodoos. I
Yeah.
think that, you know, that's
They can only be good.
yes, that's what we think.
Agreed. I don't disagree on that fact. I'm totally up for good and bad magic. So both for good ones.
Only for good magic. White and black, but good.
Yeah, yeah. I
There's
think there
also,
was-
you know, the argument of a perfectly innocuous child doll, right? With the blonde hair and the blue eyes. And
they're creepier.
we have Annabelle, you know, we have that true life story of that haunted doll. So it can go either way. And really, I mean, from a marketing perspective, we're going to create these physical voodoo dolls if and because people want them. So you have full autonomy to decide if you want to bring something playful, right, in your house, as well as something potentially symbolic of spirituality in whatever form it takes.
Yeah.
So it's up to you completely. But, you know, it's only going to look dodgy if you stick some pins in it and put an altar up. But we're not suggesting that. It's almost going to be like, what is it called? A Funko Pop doll? You know,
yeah.
those character, yeah, those character dolls. So, or like a Furby, those things were bloody weird. They're awkward. But yeah.
There's actually someone in our community, sorry for interrupting, but there was someone in our community who said, you guys should, if you decide to do physical voodoo dolls, you should do them in like, you know, boxes, like transparent boxes, like the collectibles, so they become like real collectibles as well. Like, you know, some people
Yeah,
collect
why
Playmobil
not?
and Barbie dolls from the 1960s, or, you know, you can start collecting also, you know,
Yeah.
and it's your decision if you want to remove them from the box, because then that's like not in mint condition anymore. So yeah,
Could
so
be.
it could be something interesting as well.
Yeah.
Right. So have you actually already dabbled with talking with physical manufacturers, producers, or got some samples for it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
we're
how
in
are they
the-
coming out right now?
So we're still in the initial process, but like we're still
Right.
deciding, you know, what kind of fabrics, and also,
Definitely. Yeah.
like for example, because you know they're gonna be plush. Okay, so inside there should be like some kind of material. So we're deciding like, okay, do you want the material that's like made out of polyester that's actually much more, let's say, but it's much more clean, not clean, like hygienic, like hypoallergenico and these kind of things. Hypoallergenic, I think that's how it's said.
Yes, yes.
Or if we want to put like sheep wool, but then sheep wool would be less, you know, so we're just like still going through these kind of details for now.
Yeah, we point on sustainability in general.
Yeah.
Then somehow on, you know, possibility to do something that is regenerated and doesn't destroy later in case that, you know.
And also it's an Italian artisanal designer who does them by hand. So the quantity is not like you're going to have, well, unlimited quantity, how much you want to buy. No, it's going to be actually like a really kind of specific. And
it's another artist working with us, which will do one by one. Then it will be like probably all different.
They're
one by
all unique.
Yes, they are all unique. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that handcrafted ones just hold more value to it, regardless of how many pieces you actually come up with. So, so this question is out for Yasmine. So talking about you being in the fashion world and in even Nighthawk, so what's the difference of input when you are giving your ideas and your thoughts when creating the digital pieces, and right now when you're finally going to touch all the fabrics on the dolls? How different are those inputs?
Good question.
So what's interesting is that, you know, my first, like my career was in fashion design and fashion styling and art direction. So fashion styling and art direction is usually what I love to do. I love like putting pieces together and creating, you know, storytelling. And that's basically what we also do with Vudu, but in a different way. And so what's different is that when we're designing in 3D, you can do whatever you want. And that's just great because you're like, wow, I can literally do whatever I want. But then you're like, okay, what do we do then? And so you have this opportunity to do so many infinite possibilities that now we have like, okay, so what is feasible for the physical dolls? You know, what is going to look the best? And that's the closest to the actual Vudu dolls. Like what kind of materials are we going to use? Because, you know, in 3D, like you use many materials that you can also invent. You can invent textures and you can create whatever texture you want, but in reality, it's not the same. So that's going to be the challenge, I think.
But mainly, you know, what happened actually is what happened before, because I was in fashion as well for 20 years as a photographer. And me and her, we worked, you know, together in fashion editorial. She was the stylist, I was the photographer. Then now, whatever I do in 3D is also coming from her own research. And because, you know, the research we do together, and actually she probably in fashion, she does more research than me. Then she make me all the research, and then I start producing out of the research things. And then of course, together we finalize. And then
because I can give him like so many references, but then
Yeah.
what looks good in 3D, what is feasible, and also because he has to work with lots of physics and forces, you know, to make everything look so realistic.
Yes.
And so
Yeah, it's a
he
mess.
becomes a scientist at some point. And so so it's sometimes challenging because we're like, okay, we can do so many things. What are we gonna do?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Nighthawk. So in terms of designing, how much inputs do you actually give in, or how many times you actually feel that should I or should I not say something right here? Because again, because being in the creative field, I understand there will always be, there's hardly any chance that there's no clash of opinions. It's always going to be there, no matter how it is. It's basically on the understanding that people go through something. So what's that understanding level between all three of you right now?
It's a good question. My
Yes.
position as advisor is that I have very little to do with the artistic direction other than ensuring we're just ahead of market trend. So, for example, my real function in the artistic way is to ensure that we're not doing auto gen, that we're not doing vector art, flat images, in the way of vector art, anything that isn't custom. And so for me, I see that, thankfully, I recognize Roggetto's artistic direction as what more than I could ever expect. So while reviewing season 2 prototypes this past few weeks, I've just been absolutely taken aback. I think I even tweeted like I teared up at one point when he showed me, because they were masterpieces. And you don't see that on the market now. That no one knows what's going to happen and how. I mean, if they're not taken aback, I don't know what they're expecting. Because even on Ethereum, I mean, I don't see this level. So that being said, I can tell him or suggest we might have a specific animation type within the actual asset, but his direction, I basically watch. And, you know, I give him my opinion, but I'm of the, let's say, approach that it's not an advisor's place to interfere with the art, because the artist always has his own view and his own nature, and you can't manipulate that without manipulating the ethos of the project. So if I really wanted to have a say in the artistic direction, I'd start my own project. But I also joined Vudu because I love the art itself, and I trust Roggetto to take it in directions that no one else can touch. That's the competitive edge in me. I'm not just going to work for any projects. I'm going to work for the best. So that being said, I have very little to do. All I can do is say, right, you brought me to tears yet again. I'm not normally this soft.
Okay. So
Now I'm gonna cry.
Thank you, Nathan.
we can all cry together after the call. So are we going to have few sneak peeks anytime soon in the coming weeks?
Yes, so technically now we have a schedule for sneak peeks. So every Thursday and no, every Friday and Monday. Yes, or Tuesdays. I will check the schedule.
Tuesday,
It's a new schedule.
Yeah.
But yes, we will be posting sneak peeks much more,
Often.
oftenly. And also, the sneak peek. Also, I just want to add that, because now we have lots of congestion problems with the Cardano blockchain
Right.
and everything. So in case, but also in any way, in case there's lots of congestion, we will be doing some kind of digital event at the end of March to kind of show a bit about season 2. Okay, a bit more like like a digital teaser. Okay, that's gonna be before the collection, so that's gonna be something to look forward to. I'm not gonna give too many details, but it's gonna be something super fun and also really in the ethos of what Vudu Brigada wants to express.
Right. So I'm getting too many video breakdowns, and that's a good thing. It's all gonna go on Twitter soon. So I really want to know on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay, and I think Ruggero, the person for this, on a scale of 1 to 10, or actually let's get it bigger, 1x to 10x. What's the jump from the current Vudu designs to the next for the next drop? What's that multiplication looking like?
Okay.
I mean, definitely there are much more details.
Okay, yes, there is more things now. There is more details, there is more little things, there is it's more intriguing somehow, but it's more intriguing for me that I'm kind of black, then I'm a black magic man, like it's less popish, less frivolous.
Okay.
It's a bit more serious, more psychological.
Let's say I'm season 1 and Ruggero
Yes,
season
indeed.
2. So I'm just kind of silly, colorful, happy, a bit funny, and then
Yes. Yeah.
and then season 2 is gonna be like dark, intense, and emotional.
Yes, and kind of full of stuff.
And that just makes me feel like an airdrop. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Nighthawk, you were saying that you are looking for the others designs and you want to be ahead of the market trends. So I don't know if you want to name projects here. I don't think that's a good thing to do anyhow. If at all you have or are creating a benchmark with any other project, how do you see that? How do you differentiate as to this is the level of the art style which is coming forward? Because every day, I think we all agree on this, that every day there is a new design concept or a new design thinking, or the whole process changes. There are just too many AI generated art right now coming up. Like the computers can predict how 2040 looks like. So like, to be very honest, it's changing very rapidly. So how do you create that benchmark?
It's a good question. So there are many projects coming into the space now, and the art they're creating is essentially derivative, or I shouldn't say all of it, but a lot of it is derivative, or it's via vector, flat, autogen, etc. All these things that sort of make it what we've already seen before. And to be honest with you, those aren't the projects I have my eye on. The projects that have been around since, let's say, Q3 of last year, your Bitfins, your Ugly Bros, projects like that are consistently upgrading or evolving their artistic direction and utility, well, those are the projects I'm going to respect and look up to and move with them in the market. It's not just one project that is the market, it's a combination, but the combination is curated. So they've proven themselves in some way. And it's important to distinguish that the projects that are the most vocal in the space, the ones that are doing interviews, speaking regularly on Twitter Spaces, those are the ones to really look at, because they're investing. They're literally, with their time and their mental capacities, they're investing in the space. And so I know that they're ones to watch just from that respect. The ones that sort of fade into the background and, potentially they're they're known because of their artificial marketing practices or something dodgy going on. That's all right. They can continue carry on. We'll watch them blow up in the future. And for me, I only touch things that I know are a known quantity. Is the value in that project going to exist and sustain itself past season 10? Is the team competent? And it's really subjective as well. I mean, someone else might have a completely different take, but that's really how I identify the projects to watch, and sort of that's how I label them as the market. It's
Okay.
multiple things, ingredients. Yeah.
So let's talk about the new upcoming projects. There has been a trend where we are seeing projects have a higher mint price, and that's more than the average of what the whole community has ever seen. So how important do you think that initial mint price level is for any project, be it across seasons? Because that always creates an impact. Because again, we know that there is always a floor drop. No matter how good or how hype that project is or that season for that project is, there will always be a floor drop no matter what. So it always, so there are section of people who are waiting, staying up till whatever time it is for that mint, and there are people who are just hoping for that fall, that initial fall right after that mint. So what is that level, that thought behind that level, according to you?
Well, it's human psychology. So the whole enterprise of supply, demand, scarcity, it plays into every single project on every single secondary marketplace. And it's quite simple. It's if you saturate the market with too much volume, then naturally the floor is just going to, run itself ragged for a while. It's going to take time to appreciate over time, but so long as the project's executing strategically, it'll be just fine. So long as we have artistic direction, we have organic marketing, we have proper leadership, etc. But with these projects that are consistently, and like you mentioned, it's inevitable for, let's say we mint, the floor price drops, people undercut each other, essentially undermining the project and the value. That's just human psychology, right? And I actually ran a little quiz on Twitter the other day, and I said, right, for you, what's your main intention when you're minting a project? Is it you're going to hodl, you're going to flip immediately, or you're going to purchase multiple and then flip? And the majority of them, meaning about 70%, said we're going to hodl and flip. And then 30% said we're going to just hodl. So there you have it. The majority speaks that on the whole, people are going to simply flip the project, sell in secondary, but to do that, you need to be competitive in price. So it's part of the nature, and it's keeping things running. And that's fine. But so long as we look at these as they're literally stores of value, they're valuable, people are going to transact with them. It's available. It's just it's important to keep in mind as well that flippers are fine for the market because they keep JPEG lights on, so to speak. But for a project, we're not necessarily focused on the flippers. We're focused on the community builders, what I call the loyalists. They are our priority because they're going to follow us, support us from collection 1 to collection 10, etc. They're going to show up to our in-person events. They're going to contribute to the conversation in Discord every day. They're going to basically help us shape the culture of Vudu Brigada. They're the ones that we love and adore and we listen to. And I think every project, whether they like to admit it or not, that's their focus, because they realize that if someone is not committed to the project, how much energy do you actually need to expend? Because all of our energies, all of our attention is very valuable at this point. We're being pulled in different directions. So the ones that we're really paying attention to are the ones that are actively contributing to our project in a respectful, kind, positive way.
Right. So building on that, sorry, you wanted to say something?
No,
Ah,
go
cool.
ahead.
So building on that, so there are a lot of collaborations coming up, and I think I just saw one of the new projects dedicate a custom piece sometime back, and
To who?
I think it was for you, Nighthawk.
Oh, are you talking about Shark Squad?
No, I think it was I think it was Deadly Pandas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh.
just got a DM from them as well. So so yeah, so how important is collaborations right now? Because I feel that's what the new projects are aligning towards. Collaborate, and then grow. Build on the audience or the community of other projects. Obviously, they need to give their own credibility. They have to, in terms of designs. But what's that approach looking like? And if at all, are you interested in something like that?
I'll go ahead and start, and then Yasmine or Ruggero, you can fill in anything or add, your 2 cents. So collaborations are something that projects in the past of, let's say, 2021 have thought it's almost like an obligation to include on their roadmap. As far as cross-pollinating, meaning exposing each other's communities to each other and potentially growing your base. For us, it's very important that we add value to the project before we go ahead and do a collaboration, because there's lots of work to be done, to be fully transparent with you. And then for us, we're not just going to choose one just because they reach out to us 60 times. We're going to be very tactical about this, because Vudu Brigada is not like any other project, and we need that level of artistic direction, reputation, team to make it a natural fit. We're not just going to choose someone who knocks on our door. And Ruggero, as an artist, needs to feel excited about it so that he can create something that's going to consistently move us forward. So I would never suggest that we come to the table and speak to anyone unless Yasmine and Ruggero have that fire and they can see the vision, because I think they'd see the vision before I would, to be perfectly transparent with you. Do you guys have any other input?
Yeah, I mean, I would just consolidate what you said when you said that, like, we don't want to do a collaboration just to make a collaboration.
Yeah.
We want to do it if it feels right. We want to do it also if, because we have such a specific product, like we are a 3D, project, and most of the projects that we see on Cardano, we have a bit of diversity now. I'm not gonna lie, because maybe in November or in October there was more like same type of projects, and now we have more diversity, which is cool, because then we have more possibilities, and we're like, okay, so we kind of, every time we see a project, we kind of imagine like a hybrid, like how would that look like, and when it feels right, I guess that we're definitely gonna get to it, of course, because we think it's a good idea, and Vudu Brigada also really believes in collaboration, like it's not like the old world anymore, especially with the Cardano. Like, it's not like, okay, without saying a bad word, I'm thinking like secret, how do I explain that?
I think you can just beep it out.
So basically, fucking others over, for us to gain. Like, the world is not like that anymore, and that's also like why we were like bored of the fashion industry, because it's a bit like a competition to push like this. Like, it's not like that anymore. It's more of a collaboration thing. All together, we can go higher.
Yeah, also has to be something that has to be a collaboration that makes sense in the concept or in the aesthetic, or it doesn't have to be 3D because we do 3D. No, it's not about this. It has to be something that is well,
compatible.
Yes, compatible, that can live together somehow. Then we are looking for something like this to make a project that becomes something else and still is beautiful.
And to expand and bloom, not just to be like, okay, let's collaborate,
Yes.
If in a particular point of time you feel that a particular person in the CNFT space, or someone in your community, or just for the love of your community, you create a unique art piece,
We did.
not for sale, not for the market, just out
Yeah,
there
well,
showing your love.
it's something we're doing already, and we're actually
With the
doing it with the mods. Yes,
Yes.
with our mods. Actually, it's a long process because I'm doing something specific for them. And actually, they designed the idea on top of like a paper doll kind of a template. They started collecting things and sending us, and slowly, I'm doing all of them, and then all the dolls for the mods, which are unique. They have unique pieces inside. They are made for them, and then yes, actually, we finalized together. Today we did one.
Yes. So the mods aren't paid. So obviously to thank them, because really they're such important members of our community and team, and there wouldn't be Vudu Brigada without them. So we decided to do custom made dolls for each of the mods. And so they got to decide what they want. And also on YouTube, we have a playlist where you can see we already did 2 one-to-ones with each of our mods. So with Gabe and with Q-Part. So you can already see their own dolls there. And so obviously the dolls will be tokenized and sent to them as a gift, just to thank them for all of their hard work. And I think it's nice because they are embodying voodoo literally.
Yes.
So it's that's the nice part.
We will start doing the movement soon for them,
Yeah.
and then we will do just one by one. Whenever they are ready, we just
Yeah.
tokenize.
Because we have about 8 mods now,
Yeah.
and so we still have to finish the others. But we're trying to balance working on season 2, working on the new strategy, and also finishing the to-do list of the things that we had, because 3D takes time, rendering takes time,
Yeah.
the whole process takes time. So that's why it takes time to make good art.
I'm there 24/7.
Yeah. It's the first time I put makeup in weeks, really.
Yeah.
And remove my pajama as well. So that's the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
So talking about community, back a few days back in Discord, when Nighthawk shared a GIF of a movie, which I think was Aunt Mary, I basically initiated a
Auntie
conversation. Sorry?
Yeah, it was the film Auntie Mame.
Yeah, sorry, May. So I basically implemented that question because someone said that would be great to watch a movie. I created a conversation saying that why don't we just host one for the whole
Yeah.
Discord channel? So is that something we can do?
I mean, I think it's
That-
fun. We want to implement more ideas and have fun in Discord. Actually originally in our community, like one morning I woke up and people were doing a rap battle, and there were like so many things going on, and it was really nice because these things happen organically, and that's actually where then we did like a voodoo rapping competition, and that's actually where we got where we discovered the catchy that one of our community members he made the song, and the song is now iconic, and people are actually requesting for us to do a ringtone. So we might do a ringtone. That's gonna be super fun, I think, and very annoying, but the kind of annoying that you love.
Yeah.
So
You never stop singing it.
yeah.
yeah,
So,
it just touches that spot where you feel like, yeah, I should listen to it, but probably not so many times. Just stop ringing already.
yeah.
Okay, so let's get on certain common topics, which is I feel personally that Vudu is a collectible. It's not just art, it's a collectible, even on a digital level. It's something I would just like to showcase in my own metaverse somewhere, whenever that is there. So what's your thoughts on obviously your own project, and in general, what NFTs are for you? Is it just art, or is it something you look at as a collectible, or do you want something in terms of utility out of it every single time? It's for all three of you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm
Wait till I
gonna
answer my
start.
thing, yes.
I think definitely like we're artists basically. First and foremost, Ruggero is an artist. I am an artist. I am not a financial person. I am not a businesswoman, and we are basically artists. So definitely, we would say that Vudu Brigada is first and foremost about the art, and definitely collectible as well. Like, you know, I mean, I think like I saw this on Twitter as well once. Like if you buy an NFT for the art, you're never gonna get disappointed because you can't be disappointed. You already been, you know, satisfied by whatever you bought. So that's what I think when I try to buy NFTs. Like I buy it because I like it. I don't care if it stays in my wallet my entire life. It's just I know that I have it and that's the value to me. And obviously, if we have a utility, that's great. That's something, you know, in plus. But I mean, I don't go and I buy earrings and I expect then the earrings to jetpack me somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's my opinion.
There is also another point of view that we might speak about because you know it's involving art, digital art, and then digital art now have a space where to be unique and be sold like any other piece of art. Okay, this is all in a very beginning. Then somehow, you know, like I studied art, and art went through many revolutions. One, you know, one of the biggest was one of the last big was like the Dadaism, which was a very big revolution in art. Art was not art anymore. Okay, then somehow now we are in another revolution. And as I said, for example, as I spoke already in the first workshop, I really believe, okay, art and commerce, they are connected. My city, you know, was born with art. With, you know, art was the first big investment for the Renaissance. That's why Florence is still so famous. Now, I think that we are going through a new period that will be a revolution not only for art, digital art, for the concept of blockchain itself, of decentralization, the Web 3.0 is a very big thing we are part of. It's still the beginning, but definitely it's a new beginning. It's something different. It's something new that has to be assimilated. Yeah, it has to be understood from people. And, you know, but art is, you know, we sell art, we are artists. And then if there is this beautiful new place for us, I think I'm very positive. You know, for many reasons, I'm positive about blockchain and Web 3.0 and NFT. I mean, it's the proof that something can change and can be possible, I think.
I feel what you just said was just so inspirational. Yeah, just makes me believe more in our future. So, Nighthawk, what's your opinion?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so for you personally, is NFT, whenever you are purchasing an NFT, is it always about the art? Is that something you always look at, or are you always seeing it as a collector perspective? Is it a collectible? Is it something you would show off, or basically flip at a higher price, or it's just there which adds value to your own self? It's just for your own pleasure, for your eyes, or is it something which is always about the utility?
Yeah, no, it's a valid question. So in the very beginning, I was minting based off of what the current communities I was in was minting, and you know, the future value proposition of those projects. And so then I found myself with a wallet that was full of projects that the art to me was all right, but I was much more drawn to the Vudu Brigadas of, you know, the world, very few of them, and Woodlords, for example. And so for me, I sold a few of them, and right now I only mint those projects whose art I love and want to look at every single day. And I hodl. I'm a hodler. I don't flip. I don't sell. Because I'm no longer minting projects that I don't want to look at and show off at some point in time. Like, let's say that if I bring my social circle into the space, which they have no idea what I do, they think I like play around with images, you know? But if and when I go about showing my wallet, which to this day I haven't, but if I do, it's going to be much more of like a shop front whereby you can see my aesthetic and that's it. I'll be happy with that. I'm not, I mean, it's so freaking weird, but even as advisor, I'm only minting maybe a project every 6 weeks or so because my aesthetic is so specific that very few projects match that. So I don't get as excited about projects that whose artistic direction I don't relate to, you know. It's just it's like fashion, you know. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my position. I'm only investing in projects for the art. They're stores of value. I expect that the projects I do my research on are going to increase in value, but I don't have inappropriate expectations that after a month, that value is going to increase fourfold, or even 6 months or a year. I'm looking ahead and thinking, right, if I do my own research, look at the current team, hear them in interviews and Twitter spaces to vet them, I expect that in 5-10 years, that value is going to increase thousandfold. But that's my position.
Right. So before we go ahead any further, I think we have already crossed that 1 hour threshold. So if there's a time constraint, do let me know.
Right. So we have our Twitter space at noon. So
Yes.
in 45 minutes. But yeah, so I would say if you can give us, or we have another 25 minutes. So it would be 40 after, whereby we need 20 minutes to prep and I need to send out the tweet and whatever.
Yes.
25 minutes. All right. So why don't I put a timer on as well? Because I lose track of time.
Sure. I'll do the same. We can. Cool.
All right. 25.
Right. So we'll move it faster. So this is a question I asked in my last interview as well, which is there has been more gender equality. If equality is, I think it's a wrong word. It's more inclusivity right now, where we are seeing rise of more women-led projects owned by women for women, and I think it's great that it's going on and it's increasing, which it certainly should. Our space is warm and loving and it's welcoming. So I don't think there has ever been a gender bias as far as I know, and as long or short time I have been here for, there has never been a situation where there has been any kind of a gender bias. So what's your thought on the point of gender equality and the more inclusivity which is currently going on, and what are you voting for?
I think definitely I would say, like, even when we started Vudu Brigada and people didn't really know who I was, who Ruggero was, how the team works, because I mean, my name on Discord is Polaris Collective, which is our company that creates Vudu Brigada. But basically, you know, they would say, hey, dude, blah, 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 or hey, man. So at first I was like, should I correct them? Like, I don't understand. They don't know I'm a girl. It's okay. But, you know, the first approach that people would think is like, oh, obviously the person I'm talking to would be male. And so I feel like now that's changing a bit because, you know, even when we're on your Twitter spaces and stuff, and so I start speaking, and obviously, you know, there are more and more women that are coming up and speaking and being comfortable. And, you know, before when you would be in a Twitter space, it would be like 95% male, and I would be maybe the only female. But nowadays, I feel like that's becoming a bit different. Like there are more and more women. Also, I know many women who actually are part of the team and team members, and also you see much more, you know, awareness about these kind of topics. Like, for example, last time Paris Hilton, just as an example, because she's really into Ethereum. She posted like, hey, who are the women that are, you know, leading projects and stuff? And I had people tag me in that. And so it's nice. And also personally for me, like to be an Arab woman in the NFT space, like that's for me, it's like, yeah, you know, it's very satisfying. And I feel really nice about that because, you know, there's not much, you know, already in the Arab world, they don't like now there are many new projects that are related to CNFT specifically as well, but it's really slow still. So I'm just happy to, you know, be in the forefront of that.
Right. Any shout outs for any of the women-led NFT projects?
Yeah, so definitely there is Z Project. They have a woman who's also you know, it's her, I think, and her brother that are organizing everything. And she's also an Arab woman. And also, I would say, I don't know, now on the top of my mind, there was also, you can crop this. You know, I'm just thinking. Cardano Fairies, that it's a lady and her mom, which I think is super fun. I think that's their name, Cardano Fairies. Anyway, so yeah, there are lots of you know, also I know on Ethereum a fellow Lebanese friend that's pushing and doing her own project called Sad Girls, which they're only a female PFP, let's say, project, but that's on Ethereum.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So I think this is one of the major debated or hyped questions going around in the space, the whole space, which is what is alpha? So as a project creator, yeah, sorry.
Okay, we didn't know until today that we discussed with Nighthawke what was this alpha genius. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, we didn't know.
Yeah, so when you send the questions in before, we're like, what's it? And then so good thing Nighthawke was like, no, I know what he's talking about. And so she filled us in. But yeah, I guess if we learned correctly, it kind of means like genius. I don't know. We never used it, but if it is, that's alpha.
I mean, usually alpha is used for the top thing, you know?
Like the alpha dog.
Right. Like the alpha male, the alpha dog, the alpha whatever.
Right? Like you're dropping truth bomb. That's my understanding. That's how it was taught to me. Because someone in Woodlord was like, Nighthawke, you're constantly dropping alpha on your Twitter spaces. And I'm like, what? And they had to explain. And then they also had to explain to me what like bet means and UAK stands for. It's you already know.
Oh,
Even I didn't know that.
Okay,
if you're talking about acronyms, I was reading certain pointers yesterday and I was on a call. I was on a Zoom call with huge as team members. And I was reading those pointers and I ended up reading ATM. And I was thinking, why are we talking about money right now? And like that makes zero sense. And I read that point for 3-4 times, and then I looked at the screen. I like everyone's just smiling and smoking. Like what happened? Like it's at the moment. Like damn, and I just feel too old, and I'm not even old, man.
You know, that's crazy. But if you want to give the suggestion to someone who starts NFTs, probably this, start learning the dictionary. You know, like
that's
because
the first thing we did.
You know, the first time we got in, we said, okay, what these people is speaking about? You know, like sometimes, you know, there was entire sentences without any meaning to me. And then, then one of the first thing is learn the language and then start doing something.
So today we learned alpha.
Alpha, yeah, now we know that. Now we know the alpha.
You guys are totally alpha. Now, talking about the another alpha in-house, which is Nighthawke, you literally created your own scene on the CNFT space. How did that come about? Why did you feel like you wanted to be a strategic advisor? Because I don't think before you, there was anyone with the role of an advisor. So how did that happen?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, so my professional background is in strategic leadership, project management, tech, fintech, marketing. And so I've had certain positions that have afforded me a level of leadership, right? And so I have a lot of transferable skills. And for me, I've always wanted to leave my corporate space. I learned pretty early on that I feel quite constricted, and I still work with a few clients in the professional world in fintech, and I have to be very careful about how much I divulge and protection of them. Crypto is still quite a gray area in fintech. And so with that being said, I wanted something of my own where I could really make a mark and not feel like I was walking in someone else's shoes. In corporate, you're essentially filling your boss's shoes or whomever moves on. And for me, I've always had this business sense or this entrepreneurial sense where I knew I was going to start my own business one day. My family has their own businesses as well. And so it was almost injected within my childhood that, right, one day you're going to have your own thing. And that's in a way kind of how I started to think, right, there's opportunity here. It's literally like a barren land ready for cultivation. If someone else doesn't do it, then, well, first of all, let's rephrase that. If I don't do it, someone else will. And I basically just took a big leap of faith that my opinion would be respected. I would have a firm grasp of the space where market was going, trend, and I could build or pull in those transferable skills that I learned specifically in strategic roadmaps and marketing and leadership, and that I hoped that they would transfer over. Fortunately, I can say I think they have, but obviously as time goes on, proof of concept is going to be more evident. But like anything, we're all pioneers in the space. So we're all experimenting, no matter how much experience we have from quote unquote our professional lives, whatever you do. We're all experimenting because the space is now 1 year old, give or take a few days. So it's going to take a few years for us to see, right, what has been effective and what has not. What is unique about the CNFT space that we can't even say about Ethereum? And right now, what we're seeing is the community. The ethos is completely different on Cardano than it is on Solana or Ethereum. But for me, going back to your question, it's much more about me owning something, having that autonomy, and then obviously partnering with those that I want to partner with. When you work in professional services, you basically are assigned clients, or you can choose your clients, but that comes later, right? So for me, it was like a breath of fresh air that I could have my own stamp on something,
Right. So,
Also, something I wanted to
sorry,
add
yeah,
that I
yeah.
think is so great about this. Like everyone has a new opportunity, to reinvent themselves. Like
Yasmine, I would love to, yeah, it's, your audio has gone down again.
Yeah, do
Oh,
this
I
again.
think Yasmine Ruggero, if you guys lean into the camera like that, we can hear you much more, almost a little bit back. A little bit back.
Okay.
Like, yeah. That's good, yeah.
Wait. Okay, Traden.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Better, yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that what's nice that in the crypto world is that you can now invent your own career and you have the space for that and you can make connections so easily. Like, look, we just connected with Nighthawk and then, now we work together and we take things seriously and we have a business and this is our life now. So it's great, like anyone has an opportunity to not be someone, like that's not the point to be a celebrity, but you can have success, that's not related to the let's say the society's fabric that has always been known. Things are changing up. Who knew that you could decide to be an artist and actually live off making your art and not having to do like commercial stuff and taking pictures at weddings, and if you know what I mean. Like now anyone has an opportunity, like even anyone who wants to have a project. Yes, it's difficult, it's not the easiest thing on earth, but now anyone actually has an opportunity to make their mark on the world, and I think it's really great, and we are very grateful to have given this opportunity to actually live our dream. This is technically, yes, we always wanted to do something like this, and this is what we're doing now. And before 10 years ago, if you thought that you could do something like this and have it sustainable and long term, you'd think, yeah, what is she's crazy? What is she talking about? The world doesn't work that way, but the world is changing, and so that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are all on a common starting level right now. We're just constricted by our own thoughts and creativity. That's the only thing which is differentiating in any of us right now.
Yeah.
So
And I
so
feel like
so
in Cardano, sorry, last thing. In
no, no.
Cardano, there is a layer of equality that everyone respects, you know, like, you
And
know,
this is
this is
fantastic.
a real humanity. I think that's
Yes.
really amazing because, like, I don't care where you come from, what you're doing, or, you know, like,
Your
we have
religion, your whatever.
we have a
yes.
common interest. We are talking, and we have, you know, respect. You know, we both have respect for each other without any judgment. I think that's great, and you know, the world needs more of this.
I think that's the starting point for many, many, you know, groups or society or whatever, you know, like it's the basic point is equalities and, you know, like freedom of expression.
Right.
There is many
So
things.
yeah. So before we close this session, one piece of advice from all three of you for the new creators and the people who are here uh, into the whole new NFT space as buyers or investors.
First, learn the dictionary.
The vocab.
Learn the vocabulary. Then after, I don't know, from my point of view, is doing the real good arts and then like genuine, you know, like follow your dreams, you know, dive inside yourself, do something interesting and sell to people. Why not? You know, it's beautiful. That's my point of view, but it's a bit.
Yeah.
And I would say maybe like if someone has an idea to make a project, like take it seriously. It's not something, oh, I'm just gonna do this on the side, maybe I can make a couple of bucks. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. It needs a lot of time, energy. Also, you know, you have to work on yourself. Like, I'm a very, let's say, sensitive person. And so having sometimes many people say negative things about Vudu Brigada, like before I used to, like I would take it at heart and stuff. And so you have to have thick skin, you have to be detached from people also at the same time. Like, obviously, the CNFT community is great and people are attaching, but at the same time, like, try to detach for everything that you can't control and all of the negativity, because there's going to be a lot of that. And as we've probably spoken before in previous AMAs, like, people know, like, I've had a burnout, I've been to the hospital, like, that was not fun, you know, and it's a tough job. So yeah, but if you really like it and you really believe in your project, I don't think that would be a problem, because every day we wake up and we're like, damn, let's work on Vudu because that's what we love to do.
Anyway, as a suggestion is to take things like, you know, there is many things to learn, and anything you learn, probably you don't learn it in the right way because you don't know what to do. You know, like it's a bit like this. Then somehow, you know, genuinity from one hand, and the other hand, you know, it's to take things, to plan things and to start learning. I mean, and to, you know,
You learn a lot, yeah.
you rely on also on people that, you know, like in our community is very helpful. I mean, we have to be honest, I mean, a lot of people help us, and they were in the Cardano community. A lot of people help us to do what we have done, that we have done at the beginning, and to me and her only, you know, that. And definitely this was possible also because of the people there,
Yeah.
because alone couldn't be possible. I mean, this we have
Right.
done.
So Nighthawk,
Hmm.
let's close the session with your last lines.
Yeah. So if I were a project team, what I would do is essentially make sure that I have what's called swim lanes, designated functions for every single team member, and don't think that you can give it your best and build up that project to, let's say, immense value to the community unless you have designated functions outside of yourself. It can't be, you know, it's no longer a position or an environment where it's a one-man show or one-woman show. You have to have a business head, you have to have a marketing person, you need some type of creative lead, a quality dev. And let's also clarify that a project is not made up of devs. The dev is not the project is not the dev. I don't know where this was lost in translation, but it was. The project is founded primarily from the creatives. So it's people like Ruggero and Yasmine who are essentially creative vision of the project. They determine the creative direction, especially if it's not a flat utility project. If it's a utility project, fine, you can call it a dev-founded project. But a project, typically their leadership is creative first. So we need the creatives, we need the devs, the marketing, the advisor. All of these people go into it, including the mods, because they actually help, which is the most important bit. They help with community building, which is very
Yes.
important for projects and to ensure that it lasts from one collection to the next. So that being said, you need to have your swim lanes, you need to have people helping you. It can't be just you, because if you do this on the side, or even let's say 8 hours a week as normal people in the space do at this point, it's going to fall short, and you're not going to be able to compete with these projects that have teamed up in a sense, you know? I just did a tweet, I think the other day, where I think that in a full year, the average project team is going to look far different than what it was like now or last year. It's not just going to be a creator or two and a dev. It's going to be, you have creatives, you have maybe a dev or two, you have an advisor, you have a marketing community manager. You're going to really have to team up in order to compete, because this space is growing so rapidly that in order to provide immense value every single time you mint a collection, which you have to, you need to have those specialties. No one can do all of that. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
That's
how
just really good, great advice. Yeah.
you see
yeah.
how Nighthawk, she's so pragmatic and we are not. It's, you know, and definitely this is a good suggestion, because you see, like, things change fast, and I mean, alone it's very unsustainable. Then you need someone like that.
Yeah. So after that advice, I don't think I have anything else to add or ask. So anything after that would be an insult. So with that, I'll be closing this session. And so I hope everyone watching this got some great insights. And I hope I know everybody will be going to that whole Vudu Twitter and Discord space, because new things are coming up, people, and just stay tuned. So
Thank you
thank you
very
for
much.
watching.
Very much for having us. Thank you.